This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael, I'm trapped in a movie theater, and I've seen the science fiction film Gore. I wish I hadn't. Directed by Fritz Kiersch and released in 1987, Gore is the story of Tarl Cabot, a university physics professor who is whisked away from Earth to a distant desert planet called Gore. Once there, he ends up involved in a war between freedom fighters and the tyrant king Sarm. Despite his desire to go home right away, Cabot has no choice but to help, as Sarm has taken the one object which would allow him to return to Earth. Thankfully, with the help of snappy montages and weak plotting, Cabot soon enough becomes the one person able to defeat Sarm. I think it's safe to say out of the gate that this movie is 2 parts stupid and 1 part trashy. The stupidity comes through primarily in the film's story and writing, as is the case with most movies which feel as though the production were rushed to be completed within a week or two, or a month at most. Gore initially speeds through its backstory and Cabot's training, then brings everything to a slow crawl when it remembers that a feature-length film should last more than an hour. The film's editing basically decides to stretch out scenes for as long as possible to artificially increase the runtime. This is most egregious when Cabot and the group of rebels he's with stop at a trading post and a tavern, and the story stops with them to enjoy some sultry dancing. And then the scene ends, and the group is right back where they were when it started, as if nothing had happened at all. Granted, they do pick up one new character, but it's not like they needed a 15-minute rest stop to sign him on. He doesn't even do much anyway. Speaking of the sultry dancing, whenever the film isn't pretending that it has an epic story of science fiction, it's showing off women being objectified or sold into slavery. Apparently, it is imperative to the film's setting that the power dynamic sees women in a lesser position than men, which could add to the story if this idea had some kind of commentary woven into it or was actively fought against, but it's pretty much just played straight within the film and never really challenged, not even by Cabot, who is ostensibly the film's hero. For the most part, it's just an excuse to put sexy women in sexy outfits and make them do sexy things or get thrown around. Some of that may sound appealing, sure, but in this context, it's more unnecessary than anything. And again, it seems like the focus on this aspect of the universe seems more like filler to pass the time or stretch out a scene in lieu of actual suspense or tension. Overall, it's probably enough to say that Gore is a movie that tries to have 2 audiences. The first would be interested in the science fiction elements of the film, and the second would be interested in the sexual imagery of the film. But I feel like the former audience would be turned off by the lack of actual substance to the universe and story, and the latter would be turned off by the fact that the sexiness isn't really all that sexy. Coupled together, the film is probably best described as a project that knows what audience it wants, but fails to attract anybody within it. Gore. Fritz Kiersch, 1987. 1 star. I don't recommend it. That's it for me. If you liked this review, leave it a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. As always, subscribe to the channel for more reviews. The worst part is, I know they made a sequel to this movie, so I guess I'm gonna have to face that one of these days. Peachy.